The desert night lay heavy around them, a wide silence broken only by the crackle of a small fire and the distant cry of coyotes. Private Caleb Hargrove huddled close to the flames, rubbing his palms together for warmth. Across from him sat Nasty, the Apache scout taken captive during the chaos at Pinto Ridge. His wrists were tied, though not tightly. Caleb had loosened the knots earlier, convincing himself it was to prevent swelling, though in truth he simply couldn't stomach the sight of another man bound like livestock. The war had filled his memory with enough helplessness. For a long while neither spoke. The flames cast long shadows across Nasty's face, revealing neither fear nor anger, only a calm attentiveness that made Caleb strangely uneasy. The quiet grew thicker, pressing on his chest until the words slipped out of him unbidden, almost carried by the smoke drifting upward into the vast sky. "I haven't slept beside a woman since the war," he murmured. The admission startled even him. It was not the kind of thing soldiers said aloud, least of all to someone branded an enemy. Nasty lifted his head, studying Caleb with focused, unreadable eyes. The fire reflected in them like two small embers. Caleb felt exposed, foolish, as if he had offered a weakness that could be used against him. Nasty's voice, when it came, was soft but steady. "You carry ghosts." Caleb looked away, jaw tightening. "We all do," he answered, though the bitterness in his tone betrayed the truth. His ghosts clung harder than most. The screams, the fire, the woman he'd failed to pull from the burning wagon. They visited him every night, dragging sleep from his grasp like a cruel thief. Nasty shifted, leaning slightly closer to the warmth. "War takes from every man," he said. "Family, peace, dreams, even the comfort of another body beside yours." Caleb opened his mouth to respond, but the words stuck. He hadn't expected understanding. He hadn't expected gentleness. The Apache's calm acceptance disarmed him more than any weapon could have. The wind rose, carrying dust across the uneven ground. The fire struggled but held. In that small, flickering circle of light, Caleb felt the weight of his confession settle, not as a burden, but as something shared. He realized he wasn't speaking to a prisoner. He was speaking to another survivor. The night stretched on, and though neither man said another word, something between them had shifted, something quiet, fragile, and entirely human. The next day began beneath a harsh, unrelenting sun, the kind that bleaches color from the world and steals moisture from a man's tongue before he can swallow. Caleb and Nasty walked in near silence, their shadows stretching long across the sand as they moved through country, scarred by wind and memory. The storm from the night before had swallowed the trail entirely, leaving only Caleb's uncertain sense of direction to guide them. Hours passed, the desert shimmering with heat, and neither man spoke unless necessary. But the silence was different now, less like a wall and more like a space where thoughts could settle. By late afternoon, Caleb noticed the way Nasty slowed, favoring one leg. The rope marks on his wrists had darkened into angry welts. Something twisted in Caleb's chest, guilt maybe, or just the echo of that strange honesty from the night before. When they finally reached a spot where a thin sliver of rock offered shade, Caleb made a choice he had been circling all morning. He turned to Nasty and, without a word, untied the rope. Nasty didn't move at first. He simply rubbed his wrists, then looked up at Caleb with an expression that held no surprise, only a heavy, thoughtful awareness. "You trust too easily," he said quietly. Caleb shook his head. "No, I'm trusting what I've seen. If you wanted me dead, you had your chance." Nasty's lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. "You did not sleep," he replied. "You trembled." Caleb's throat tightened. He had thought his nightmares hidden, swallowed by the dark. But of course they hadn't been. Nasty had seen everything, the clenched fists, the restless breathing. The way Caleb jerked awake like a man drowning. Embarrassment pricked at him, followed by something softer when Nasty added, "Fear is not shame. Among my people, fear speaks. It teaches." Caleb scoffed lightly, though the sound came out half-broken. "If that's true, I should be the wisest man alive." The warmth of the remark surprised them both, and for a heartbeat the desert didn't feel so empty. As night fell, they built another fire, small, cautious, like the night before. This time they lay on opposite sides of it, yet the distance felt strangely comfortable. like a shared agreement rather than a boundary. Caleb watched the stars glitter above them, and before he knew it, sleep pulled him under. It was deep, steady, unbroken. When dawn came, he woke with the strange sensation of having rested, truly rested. Nasty hadn't run, and somehow that meant more to Caleb than he could explain. The land changed as they moved, shifting from rolling sand into harsher, jagged terrain where red stone jutted up like the bones of the earth itself. By late afternoon, they reached the cliffs overlooking Red Basin, and Caleb felt a familiar tightness gather in his chest when he spotted the faint dust cloud rising far below. He knew that telltale shape, cavalry horses cutting across the basin, a search party widening its sweep, reinforcements or trouble, maybe both. Nasty stood at his side, his eyes narrowing as he read the scene, with the quiet precision of someone who had lived his entire life, decoding the land signals. "They are close," Caleb said, though it was obvious. Nasty didn't answer right away. His face, usually calm and controlled, carried a seriousness that weighed heavier than the desert heat. "They will take me," he finally said, "or kill me." He didn't say it out of fear. There was none in his voice, but as a simple, certain truth. The kind of truth the man accepted long ago. Caleb swallowed hard. He knew the same. He had seen what happened to captured scouts, to anyone who refused to kneel or break. And Nasty, proud, reserved, carrying his people's dignity like a shield, would never kneel. The wind picked up, brushing sand against their boots. Caleb stared at the distant patrol, then at the canyon that opened behind them, a narrow, angled slit in the stone, so well hidden that he might have missed it entirely if Nasty hadn't mentioned it earlier. It offered one thing: escape. Nasty took a step closer, not pleading, not begging, but offering something far more heavy. "You have treated me with respect," he said. "You showed mercy when none would." His voice was steady, but there was something deep beneath. It's something worn by loss, yet still burning with pride. "I will give you the truth of my people. We do not want this war, but we will defend our land. Tell your leaders peace can come if they do not bring chains." Caleb felt the words land like stones inside him. A message like that could save lives or cost him his place, maybe even his freedom. But looking into Nasty's eyes, Caleb saw the weight of generations, the quiet courage of a man who deserved more than the fate awaiting him. He made his choice without speaking. He pointed toward the canyon. "Go," he said softly. "They won't find you there." For the first time, Nasty's calm expression shifted, surprise, then something like respect. "You have freed me twice," he murmured. "Among my people, that makes us brothers." Caleb's throat tightened. The cavalry thunder grew louder, and then Nasty was gone, slipping into the canyon, vanishing like wind into stone, while Caleb remained on the ridge, feeling the world tilt into something entirely new.